we'll have another party then.
There you go.
Yep, and I want to do a joint service project, with all the clubs in April. And I've told them all this, but you have to keep telling them.
And anytime.
All right, Jane, I'm gonna start with simple things like, what Rotary Club are you a member of, and how long have you been a Rotarian?
I'm Jane Capps. I'm honored to be with the Rotary Club of Morehead City Noon, and I was named an honorary Rotarian back in 1991. President Ray Ball of the club named me an honorary member.
Excellent, he's now part of my family. Grandfather of my grandchildren. Wonderful, and, but you've been associated with Rotary way longer than 1991. How did you get involved with Rotary, Jane?
I married John Capps. I married John Capps, and that started the road to Rotary. We were married in '81, and about 6 months after we were married, we had an opportunity to attend a Zone Institute. His father was a past district governor, and he wanted us to come to that, and it was in Asheville, North Carolina. And that was my first experience with Rotary. I had an uncle who was a Rotarian, but he never really talked about Rotary that much. So that was how I actually got started in Rotary.
Now, when you started in Rotary, women weren't officially part of Rotary. They were Rotary Anns, and then in 1987, they could become official Rotarians. Can you just relate that history to me, tell that story to our viewers?
It was, I think, more Chicago and the United States wanted to bring women into Rotary. And the lady they brought in for that Rotary Club was an excellent member. And all of the women that I have met that are in Rotary are just very talented and very hardworking. And after I was asked to be an honorary Rotarian, someone came to me and they said, I understand that maybe you don't like women being in Rotary. And I looked at that lady and I said, let me tell you something. Women can do this service above self as good as any man. So that's where that came from. But I've thoroughly enjoyed my relationship with the Rotarians. And that's what it's all about, is relationships.
Absolutely. Now, I know the story, we could do a whole video about it, but very, very short, if possible, just a little bit about John T. and what his lifetime relationship with Rotary was.
Well, John started in Rotary. His father was a past district governor. His uncle was a past district governor. And John's brothers were both Rotarians. And so when the club asked John to be the charter president of the Noon Rotary Club, that he felt like was just the pinnacle of his life. And so we worked very hard that year, and we have had several opportunities to attend international conventions. And so in 1985, they asked John to be district governor. And again, we went to international conventions, Rotary international conventions, and just met the most wonderful people. We worked as sergeant at arms, and that basically was crowd control. And so we got to usher folks around and show them where the bathrooms were and take up the meal tickets. We just had a wonderful time.
Jane, I want to switch gears a little bit. What was John's total time in Rotary? How many years was John a Rotarian?
John had been a Rotarian in spirit, I would say, ever since the day he was born. I tell people, I told our Rotary Club when John passed away, I said, I was his wife, but you were his life. And they really believe that. And it's true, because he lived the four-way test. And being in business, as you well know, being in business for yourself, it can be challenging some days. But with the four-way test, that always kept him on the straight and narrow.
Absolutely. I want to change gears now and go to polio. I haven't been able to get anybody to express the impact Rotary has had on polio. They've talked about giving the drops and all and making the trip to India. But I haven't been able to get anybody to say, when Rotary identified polio as being a huge problem for the health of women and children in the country, there was polio everywhere. But through Rotary making this their signature project, over the years, we have been able to get it to a point with our partnerships now where polios are just about eradicated. That's what I need you to express to me. Can you give me somewhat of the impact of Rotary on polio?
Rotary started the polio campaign in 1985. We were at the convention, and the president came out, and the chairman of the foundation, for the Rotary Foundation, and they made a joint statement that they were going to be in a project that would entail the workings of every Rotarian. And he literally meant every single Rotarian worldwide. They had partnered with the World Health Organization, and they wanted to eradicate polio from the face of the earth, and that was their promise to the children. And so they gave us the challenge of raising $185 million. Well, that would have been like $3 trillion now. And Rotary said, Mr. President, we'll take you up on that. They came home, they baked cookies, John sold t-shirts. We did everything. Washed cars, had fundraisers all over the world to raise this money. And I believe it was the next year we were given accounting. I think it was the next year. Anyway, when they gave the accounting of how much they had raised, they'd raised $285 million. They were only to raise $185, they raised $285. And it has taken every bit of that. And then as they started the project, they realized money was going faster than they knew how to handle it. So Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates, they came in and they would give an extra $1 million. And then maybe 2 or 3 years later, they'd give another $1 million. But it was a campaign in the fact that children from the ages of 1 to 5 could be severely affected with this. And it was a viral infection. And it could strike any children at any time. So they wanted to concentrate on the young children. And so they started in India, had one of the largest populations, and that was the one John and I were most involved with. John went to the Calcutta Indian train station, and he, with the Rotarians in that town, were able to help get this vaccine to the children. The polio vaccine has gone through several different stages. It started out with the little sugar cubes. I think that's what I remember. Then it went to the 2 drops on the child's tongue. When John and I went to give the polio vaccine in India, they had lined up all these children to come and have the polio vaccine. And there was one little girl there. I mean, her mother had her dressed to the nines. She had flowers in her hair. She had on all new clothes. I mean, this was a big deal. This was a big deal. And so I stepped up to give her 2 little drops. She took one look at me, and I don't think she'd ever seen maybe a Caucasian before. I must have scared her to death. She started screaming bloody murder. I said, thank goodness I didn't give her a shot. But anyway, but thousands and thousands of children in India and all over the world. This had to be a concerted effort for every little hamlet, every little community, every state, every union, everything had to have the workings of the Rotarians. And the beautiful thing about the World Health Organization, they could supply the materials, but they needed people in the community that people trusted, people that they knew, people they had relationships with. And since Rotary is basically business and professional people, the people in the community, and they were people that they knew, therefore they trusted them. And when they would come to a church or a synagogue or a temple, they would tell them. They'd say, we have a very serious problem, and we need your help, and we want you to bring your children and let us provide this vaccine for them. And they just did an outstanding job, just an outstanding job. And I think now, many years later, there are 2 cases in Pakistan and maybe 1 case in Afghanistan.
So basically, the work of Rotary has just about eradicated polio.
That's correct.
Can you say that?
Hang on 1 second.
Rotary has 99.9% eradicated polio, and that's the greatest gift.
This video is going to be shown in the future to young people or people all over. It's going to be available telling our story. What is one thing that you would like to share with anybody who sees this video and needs to know about Rotary?
To me, the greatest tenet of Rotary is the 4-way test, because I think any organization that can draw people in, and the first tenet is it the truth? That's one of the greatest accolades you can give to an organization. The other tenets of the 4-way test, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's taken in a lot of people, and that's taken in a lot of attitude. And I think to belong to an organization that is their stalwart, that is a very wonderful organization.
It's one you've given your life to, I know that. And so did John. Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to share? so much.
Would you like to know anything about any of the Rotary International Conventions or anything like that?
I think you did. I think you
Did I do
covered
that? Okay.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Then I'm good.
All right.
I'm good if you're good.
That was great. That was great. All right, everybody hold still for